Here I am at the Northern Tool trying to decide if I want one of these gimmicky type things where you can get all your little individual. See, I like Stihl. I'm at the age where I'm starting to buy the best I can get with everything. So, of course, I wanted the best power head, but you know what? I pulled this out of its slot and connected it to one, and I just don't like the feel of it. The thing is, this handle, you can't adjust it or move it down any further, so it's right here. When you hold on to it, it's right here on your leg. It just doesn't feel natural. So I'm back to looking at just the basic trimmers. And I'm going over to the more expensive ones. I don't necessarily know if I want the big handle, but I gotta have the big boy. Gotta have the 36cc. I can't go down to 1.4 brake horsepower or 1.2 brake horsepower. I gotta have the 1.9 brake horsepower. So we'll see. I gotta probably get one of these four. Are these even different? These are the same thing. 130. There's gotta be something different. Maybe not. So we got another wet, dreary Indianapolis day. But that makes it even more difficult to do the string trimmer action. If you've ever tried to mow grass when it's wet outside, it bogs it down a lot. So first, let me show you what's going on with this. We got this little backpack strap assembly type deal. So I'm gonna throw this guy over on this side. How do we do this? Buckle up, like so. And now, not only is it balanced, I had to adjust this handlebar multiple times to get the right feel and the right balance. And I also had to get these straps correctly in. But now that it's perfectly balanced, let's show you how much power and grunt this thing's got. Yeah, that's some power. That's some power. Me and this string trimmer, we're gonna make some nice memories together. So here it is, folks. This is my old weed trimmer. You're gonna call it a weed trimmer, a string trimmer. You're not gonna say weed eater, that's a name brand, kind of like Kleenex versus facial tissue. Or Band-Aid versus bandage. So get away from saying brand names. This is something I picked up at a garage sale years ago. It's an Echo. It's nice. I just recently put a new primer bulb on the back of it. I was gonna refurbish it and use it again for another season. But this was the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. This little grommet right here. See, I've replaced fuel line like crazy. It's very common that the fuel line in this tank will get brittle and it'll crack. And there's even a fuel filter inside this tank that can fall completely off the fuel line. And you have to fish new fuel line through here. But Yeah, I could have easily gotten a new grommet right here and probably ordered it online and had it sent to me. And then I could probably also, this thing right here, this trimmer head, it's getting all beat up and messed up. I could have probably ordered another one and put another one on or whatever. But this is already, even though it's an Echo, it's old and it's cheap. This is one of the cheaper models. I can still fire this bad boy up. We'll turn the switch. I bet you this thing's at least 10 years old. Probably more like 15. I bet more about 10. I don't know for sure. I used to work on this stuff for a living. Like right out of high school for a while, for 2 different seasons, I played around with messing with commercial power equipment, outdoor power equipment. But I didn't really like that career because it was seasonal. And I'd have to figure out something else to do, and I wouldn't want to go on unemployment. So let's see if I can fire this thing up. So you turn the choke on. You can usually hear it, right? So then we'll turn it just a little bit. I'm dripping fuel all over the place because my grommet's torn. Well, I didn't really feel like having a dual purpose weed trimmer with built-in weed killer, so I think I'm just gonna retire that guy. I'm just gonna, maybe one of these days we'll have a yard sale and someone like a younger me can go and fix it themselves. But my older me is starting to think more. I'm starting to use my brain better. That's one of the reasons why, to each their own, but I'm not so interested in having the fanciest car or something to show off with. You know what I want to show off with? My tools. Because I love acquiring and building up my tool collection. Because you know what that does? That gives me more and more abilities to be more productive in life, to make more income for myself, to meet up with more people in a more advantageous way. In my opinion, tools are what pays the bills, and your little toys, it's nice to have toys, but the toys are going to take you in another direction. They're going to take you in a money pit type direction. And I had to go through these lessons myself, right? People can't teach me stuff. I mean, now in this section of my life, I'm starting to take wisdom from older people. But whenever I was younger, I didn't want none of that. I needed to learn my own lessons. So that's another story for another video. But this is my Stihl. Check out this handlebar right here, boy. Let's start this bad boy up. So here we have the biggest, baddest string trimmer on the market in its class. 1.9 brake horsepower, 36 cc of 2-stroke fury. FS131 Stihl. So we have the primer bulb up top here. We're gonna prime it a couple times, and then we turn the choke. The choke, it also works as a throttle starter. What I mean by that is it chokes and holds the throttle open at the same time. And a lot of modern high dollar equipment does that for you. It starts it way easier. A lot of times, sometimes you still have to hold the throttle open and choke it and pull at the same time on some of your older stuff. That's a trick. But they learned to do that for you inside the mechanism of the choke on some of this newer stuff. Let's just go ahead and let me see if I can start it like this on camera. You see, all you do is you just get the first pop going, and then you go mid-choke. Real quick, I wanted to stop and talk to you about choke because some people might not know what I'm talking about. This is a carburetor. Now they do make fuel injected stuff this small now because they just got new stuff that's crazy nowadays. I don't know about two-stroke. They do have two-stroke fuel injected, like the new KTM two-strokes are fuel injected. They have to do that kind of stuff for emission regulations. They're moving into four-stroke small equipment like this, which I don't like either. I love my two-stroke engines, but they're phasing them out for emissions. So they have to do stupid stuff like put little catalytic converters on these. This thing might even have a catalytic converter on it. I'll have to figure that out. I might be able to open this bad boy up even more by doing some exhaust calibrations, if you will. And then I'd have to retune the diaphragm carburetor. This has a carburetor called a diaphragm type carburetor. You can run it all the way upside down or any direction. The oil is mixed with the gas. Two-strokes don't have any valves or anything. It's just a piston and a sleeve with a couple ports in it. It's awesome. It's the most lightweight engine you can get. So choking is what you do to the cold engine, because a cold engine needs extra fuel to start until it gets to operating temperature. Then it can run at its normal fuel consumption. But any engine, even a fuel injected engine, it's going to pump more fuel in it on a cold start. Now, if the engine's already warmed up, it doesn't need a choke. So like your lawnmower, you're only going to choke it on a cold start to suck more fuel in. This primer bulb on this type of engine just circulates the fuel. It doesn't actually push it into the engine. But some like lawnmowers, you'll have a primer bulb that will actually force fuel into the carburetor. Kind of like even on some dirt bikes and things. Like that's why you don't just want to sit there and play with the throttle all day long. Some dirt bikes, they have a diaphragm in the carburetor that actually is a pump diaphragm, that every time you swoop that throttle open, it actually sprays fuel into the intake. So you could sit there and play with it with the engine off, and you'd be flooding it. So let me get back to what I was doing. We'll get this thing all the way up to operating temperature, and I'll just go right out here and show you how well it cuts. So I was gonna do my first video test run on this thing tomorrow because I got home and it was a little bit late and I was doing some trimming at dusk. But I was a little bit confused. It did feel a little bit abnormal in my hands. It felt like something was weird. This handle's like this. I'm just digging into it, but I decided I'd go ahead and film a little bit. This is set up wrong. This handle is backwards. This handle is backwards. It's supposed to sit like this, but the trigger is backwards here. See that trigger right there should be flipped around, and that handle should be flipped around. Because I was figuring this out because I didn't know which side to stand on it. I was standing on the opposite side. Long story short, I checked some YouTube videos just to make sure. And this is how it's supposed to be, like this. That's the clamp just right here. And it's really disappointing. So I went ahead and took the bolts out here, and I'm gonna see if I can split this apart and get this thing set up right. And this is probably glued on, so I can't just rotate it around. It's really frustrating. This handle just popped off after I got the screws out, and I'll be able to flip this around, it looks like. Just goes on like so. Bolted on. Okay, so it appears that this handle was actually on correctly. It was just this one that was flipped around backwards. So I think I'm in business now. I think my shoulder strap will fit on. I'll show you that tomorrow, and I'll kill some weeds. Also, this loop right here was upside down. Apparently, it comes fully assembled, and I just took the one right off the showroom floor. He said they don't come in boxes, they come fully assembled. So, someone else that isn't mechanically inclined like me might not want to take the throttle, but this whole throttle mechanism off and try to flip it around by themselves. So that would have been more of a hassle for someone else. So, whatever. But now you know, because you watched my video, you know what to look for.